Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Melissa, the owner of Cali Meets NYC, and we're a home fragrance business based out of Lake Worth, Florida. Today, we're going to talk about finding your brand voice. So, I had some issues struggling with my social media, trying to figure out the best time for emails, my messaging, and all of that. The reason why is because I had no idea what my brand voice was. I knew my target market, I knew who I was marketing to, but I was really struggling with how to speak to my customer. So, what changed all of this? So, I recently, about a month ago, I had a meeting with a fellow YouTuber, and she audited my site. And not to say that my site was crap, because it was not. It was great, but it was very plain. It was plain Jane, and it didn't feel like myself. It did not feel like the brand. It felt like anytime we would go to a market, it was kind of disjointed. And so I completely rehauled the website. I will insert a clip of what the website is looking like right now, because I'm extremely proud of the progress I have made with the site. And the whole thing is that I had all the skills to do this. I just wasn't sure as far as how to speak to my customer. Now, once I had the audit, I went through, she walked me through with the things that I needed to change, the things that I was not talking to. And she was looking at one from a standpoint of a brand marketer, and then also to a consumer, to see like what she would be looking for, when buying candles. So I was just really spewing out a lot of words and spewing just things that didn't really matter necessarily to the customer. It mattered to me, but not to the customer right away, at least. So I changed a lot of the things, and I spoke to my customer, meaning Cali Meets NYC is a big advocate for self-care, self-wellness, and I was not speaking any of that messaging on the site. I was doing that on my Instagram, but not on the site. So what happens when you do not know your brand voice? You kind of fall flat. And that's what was happening to me. And so I was falling flat with my website. I wasn't sure of myself. Everything was just hard. And it was like I was making it more harder than it should be. It was hard to create my social media campaigns. It was hard to do any of the reels, any content. I was just so overwhelmed and not confident in what I was saying at all. And it probably came across in my social media. It probably came across in my email messaging. The only thing I could say I was confident at was anything that was happening on my YouTube channel. So I was trying to figure it out. Now, when I did the audit and I started doing the website over, and I'm like, okay, I have all these skills to do graphic design, so I didn't have to hire anybody out and really, showcase the scents a little bit better. I didn't have to hire that part out at all. So what happened was that as I'm sitting here coming up with the different graphics for the site, coming up with different messaging for the site, and talking about the story a little bit more about why Cali Meets NYC exists. And while I'm doing this, I'm also writing some grant applications. And so coming up with that messaging, taking some of my answers from my grant applications, putting them into my website, and telling this story a little bit further just amplifies the site. So I'm telling the story of what the scent zip code is. So all of the candles, if you did not know, Cali Meets NYC, uh, it's based on my husband and my love story. So I was living in California when we met, and he was living in New York City. And so all of our candles are named after zip codes between California, New York City, and it will be soon Florida. So all because of all of the candles have the zip codes, and that's very different. It's really interesting to see the zip codes and to tell the story. So, for instance, our creamy papaya candle, that's named after Harlem's zip code. Well, Harlem was the first area that I moved back from California to New York City. So that was the first area I had moved to, and we had spent the summer together, and it just kind of reminds me of that. And if you know New York City is sticky and it's hot, but it's sweet and you want to be out there, and that's kind of the vibe of that candle. And you get that feeling, but without me telling the story online, my customers are not going to see that. They're just going to see the zip code and say, oh, that's a pretty candle. Oh, papaya, I bet that smells nice, but here is what it looks like. So I'll insert what that page now looks like, and so the customer will get a story with it. Now, with my social media, I had struggled with, finding my brand voice and figuring out how to speak to my customer. I knew exactly where she was located. I know she was always on Instagram hanging out, but I was struggling to come up with the best content for my customer. I was struggling with coming up with things that made sense and spoke to the website and spoke to my core audience. Now, figuring out my brand voice, everything has come so much easier. So I'm taking the stress off of myself and saying, okay, well, maybe TikTok isn't where your customer is, and that's okay. It's okay to say, that's not for me. So I know, looking at my website analytics, my traffic comes from Instagram. It also comes from YouTube. So that's where I'm hitting the most. So I'm making sure, because I'm only one person, I'm making sure I'm focusing on Instagram and YouTube. So those are where my core audiences are coming from. So that's why I'm making sure that I'm, showing up consistently. And that's the whole thing, is that I haven't been consistent because I had been so overwhelmed. And, obviously it's the summer. We have summer slumps. And I'm like, I don't have, my sales are completely down, like most people. And I'm, trying to get over that hump. And so that's why I did the website audit to see, hey, what can I improve to make sure that in the fall I'm at my optimal best. So that's what I have done. When you find your brand voice, everything just comes so much easier to you. You know exactly how to pitch your brand to people. You know how to market your brand. You know how to speak naturally about your brand without feeling anxiety, without tripping over words. And coming up with content is a lot easier to do that when you have found your brand voice, when everything just flows naturally. So that's where I am. I would say if anybody is stuck and is struggling to find their brand voice, you are not alone. But make sure, one, you revisit your target market and you revisit what social media strategies you have. So revisit your target market, revisit who you're marketing to, and say, okay, am I speaking to these people because that's what everybody says that I should be doing? Like if I'm speaking to, say, millennials, are they all going to be on TikTok? Are they all going to be on Pinterest? Are they all going to be on Facebook? You have to look at your analytics, look at your numbers. So I would say look at all of that, then refocus. Sometimes you have to go and survey your customers. I also surveyed my customers. So make sure you do all of that, do your due diligence, and then you can, focus on one social media at a time, and then the rest will follow. Focus on whatever one that you have the most traffic to, focus on that, the rest will follow. But also make sure you are focusing on your marketing, your email marketing, and your SMS too, because that is also going to drive traffic to you. I hope this helps. I hope I wasn't rambling too much, but I really just wanted to let you guys know about the struggles I had with finding my brand voice. And now that I have found my brand voice and am very, very confident in how I'm speaking about Cali Meets NYC to my customers, you could do it too. So if you like videos like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, you guys.